Hey YouTube, welcome back to a brand new Animal Crossing video. Now, as of making this video, an Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Switch 2 edition has yet to be announced, although I am hopeful it will be. However, the Nintendo Switch 2 does offer certain benefits for New Horizons players that you should know. So today we're breaking down 10 things the Nintendo Switch 2 offers Animal Crossing New Horizons, including features the Nintendo Switch 2 adds to the game, what features are still compatible and carry over to the Switch 2, some exclusive Switch 2 features when playing New Horizons compared to the Switch 1, and much more. So if you're excited to hear more about what the Nintendo Switch 2 does for Animal Crossing New Horizons in general, be sure to leave a like as it helps out a bunch, and let's jump straight in. Number 1. Backwards compatible. So starting with the obvious and the foundations of this video, Animal Crossing New Horizons, like pretty much every Nintendo Switch title, is of course compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2. This has been confirmed for a while, but whether you own the physical or digital version of New Horizons, you can absolutely play it on a Nintendo Switch 2, given it is backwards compatible, no problem. Number 2. Transfer islands. Now, a super important thing to know is that you can absolutely transfer your Animal Crossing New Horizons island over to the Nintendo Switch 2. Once you get your hands on a Nintendo Switch 2, you can either start a fresh New Horizons island and have 2 islands if you're keeping your old Switch, or you can transfer your entire island over from your current Switch and continue as normal. It's super simple too. All you need to do is a complete system transfer, which is available from the settings menu on the Switch. Just note this will move your island over and remove it from your original to stop you cloning your island. Number 3. Faster loading times. Now, despite not receiving an enhanced version or even a launch day patch that some games are getting, Animal Crossing New Horizons will still see plenty of benefits. And the biggie is faster loading times. In short, modern chips, more efficient data management and everything else that comes with an upgraded console and its hardware means data will be loaded much faster even without any changes to the actual binary of the game. So whilst not the most optimized through a launch day patch or enhanced version like those the Zelda games are seeing, Animal Crossing New Horizons will still benefit and load islands much faster. Number 4. Integrated game chat. Currently, it's possible to chat with friends whilst playing Animal Crossing New Horizons when using the Nintendo Switch Online app on a smart device. However, the Nintendo Switch 2 adds integrated game chat, which means this chat feature is now integrated directly through the Nintendo Switch 2 itself, and means you and your friends no longer need a smart device to interact with each other when playing. This is of course exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2 users. Number 5. Improve lag. Similar to faster loading times, playing Animal Crossing New Horizons on a Nintendo Switch 2 will vastly improve any lag you experience around heavily decorated islands, especially those in Dreams. Again, this is basically because of more efficient hardware. Animal Crossing New Horizons is capped at 30 frames per second, so the Nintendo Switch 2 will likely be more consistent and reduce frame rate drops, which when paired with the faster loading will make the running around a heavily decorated island much smoother. For those doubting this, there's already an improvement between the original Switch and OLED versions, for example. The step up to Switch 2 will be even better. Number 6. Screen sharing and camera. Moving on, and another exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 feature that adds something to Animal Crossing New Horizons is of course the screen sharing functionality. As part of the game chat feature that's now integrated into the Nintendo Switch 2, it's now possible to share your screen with friends whilst playing New Horizons. This will add a unique aspect to multiplayer and even allow you to see what your friends are working on without even being on their islands, which is super cool. Furthermore, when paired with the Nintendo Switch 2 camera feature, you can add yourself into the screen sharing or game chat, adding even more to the New Horizons multiplayer experience. Number 7. Nook Link returns. As you may remember from my video a few weeks back, Nintendo very quietly confirmed Nook Link's compatibility with the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, whilst it may be obvious that the Nintendo Switch 2 is backwards compatible and that Nintendo Switch Online app features would also work, it's never guaranteed until Nintendo announces it. Plus, the Nintendo Switch Online app is being rebranded for the Nintendo Switch 2. But thankfully, Nintendo kept Nook Link as part of the rebranded Nintendo Switch app for the Switch 2 and confirmed on their website it will work with New Horizons on the Nintendo Switch 2. Which means even when you move over to the Switch 2, you will still be able to access your island newspaper, your reactions, your designs, and of course order those exclusive items from the Nook Link store, including the very desirable Nook Ink toilet paper. Number 8. Virtual Game Cards. The Nintendo Switch 2 offers some new features including game sharing and virtual game cards available from the main menu. You can actually already see these on the Switch 1. Anyway, whilst game sharing doesn't appear to be compatible with New Horizons, at least at the time of making this video, the virtual game card feature is, and Animal Crossing New Horizons players can certainly make use of it. In short, if you have a digital version of Animal Crossing New Horizons, you can view its virtual game card in the virtual game card menu and essentially move it between systems, either to a second Nintendo Switch console or a friend or family member. This will of course be available if you transfer your system, including your New Horizons island, over to the Switch 2. However, it is a nice option if you're not transferring your data over and plan to start a fresh new island on the Switch 2, but only have a digital version of the game, if that makes sense. Number 9. Transfer Captures. Next up, we have another Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive feature that adds some useful functionality to Animal Crossing New Horizons. Thanks to the rebranded Nintendo Switch app we mentioned earlier, and the one that's making Nook Link compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2, it's also possible to access any in-game captures you've made whilst playing Animal Crossing New Horizons directly in the app. On the Nintendo Switch 2, it's possible to send any in-game screenshots or video captures you've taken on the Nintendo Switch 2 over to the updated Nintendo Switch app, and of course share them to socials or whatever you want to do with them. This is way more efficient than scanning multiple QR codes and is a very welcomed feature, especially for New Horizons players who often share island builds, designs, and funny in-game moments. Of course, this is exclusive to New Horizons captures when played on the Nintendo Switch 2. Number 10. New icons. Moving on, the Nintendo Switch 2 is also catering for Animal Crossing fans by adding several Animal Crossing themed profile icons. You may already know if you saw my recent short about it, but when creating or updating your Nintendo Switch 2 profile, you can choose from one of 30 default Animal Crossing icons which feature both New Leaf and New Horizons renders, as well as several that are brand new. This of course doesn't affect the New Horizons game directly, but is totally worth mentioning and does mean you can freshen up your profile with a new Animal Crossing themed icon when moving over to the Nintendo Switch 2. If you made it to this point in the video, be sure to post Switch 2 in the comments just to let me know you did. That would be super awesome, and be sure to include what you're most looking forward to about the Nintendo Switch 2 and whether or not you'll be playing Animal Crossing New Horizons on one in the future. I'd love to know. I hope you enjoyed hearing about everything the Nintendo Switch 2 adds to New Horizons. Thank you so much to the Patreon and channel members for supporting this content. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.